edition of GetWITit podcast. Today, it could get a little wild. Could get a little wild.
I'm known for my wildness.
I know. You might have to call Jim. All right, I will screw up the last name.
You will? After all this time?
I know, right? Salmons.
Correct.
See?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, good for me.
Yep.
I mess up more people's last names.
It's like Simmons
Kristen's
with an
easy.
A.
It's the Salmons that I
always tell people it's like Simmons with an A.
Oh, that's true. I guess so, yeah.
Otherwise, they want to spell it like the fish.
They do,
And
salmon.
It's not the fish.
It's not the fish.
It's two M's.
It's two, yes, salmons.
Yep.
All right. All right, girl, then we got to know. We got to know all about you.
All about me. Oh, my goodness. Well, let's see. Back in 1978. No, I'm kidding. Where do I start? I didn't... I know we're talking GetWITit, but I didn't start in IT. Yes, girl.
Neither one of us
We got
did.
that in common.
Yes.
Yeah. I spent 15 years in banking, so on the end user side of IT, if you will. Started as a teller, kind of worked my way up, got into administration, started facilitating a lot of meetings that way. Got into supervising multiple people, again, with the meeting facilitation. And, I got towards my late 30s and my daughter was graduating from high school. And I thought, now's the time to make a change. If I'm going to make a change, now's the time to do it. And, my lovely husband, Jim Salmons,
Love Jim.
Major IT monster, that Jim.
I can say this because I know Jim, but he's a nerd.
Yeah.
He's
a geek.
He's a geek. We would geek out together.
Yes, he's a total geek. But yeah,
No offense, Jim.
None. He had always tried to convince me to make the leap over into IT. Just because that's what he did. He saw a lot of potential in the things that I did every day to do a lot more with those things. And I just, that self-doubt creeps in and that negative self-talk.
We like to call it imposter syndrome.
Oh, every day.
Every day.
Even now, every day. I have a dose of imposter syndrome every day. But yeah.
I have it doing this podcast.
But yeah, he finally convinced me to make the leap, and I decided, you know what, now's as good a time as any. Daughter's getting ready to go off to college.
She does go to the Ohio State University.
She does for another 2 months.
And then she's going to graduate.
2 months from today, she walks. So.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh,
May 5th.
Is that Mother's Day?
I think Mother's Day is the next weekend.
Oh, okay.
But it is Cinco de Mayo, so drinks will have to be had.
You're right, May 5th. Oh, man.
Yeah, so I made the leap into IT. I really wanted to be a Scrum Master, but I really felt like I needed to, kind of get my feet wet in the IT world a little bit. Put my application in at lots of places. We were making a move from Illinois to Ohio, so I put my application in lots of places. Only one place called me back, and she said, "When can you start?" And I said, "Well, I was planning on coming out at the end of June." She's like, "Can you get here May 15th?" Sure, why not?
And where was that?
That was Ohio Health.
Ohio Health.
Yep. Katie Toops was my manager. She made the leap of faith on me, and I've not looked back since. So.
There's always somebody.
Yeah.
Somebody always makes it.
Absolutely.
It was Dan Greenleaf who did it for me.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Katie gave me my first foray into IT, and then worked at Ohio Health for a year on a project there, and moved over to Cardinal Health. Worked there as a project analyst for about a year, and then again really wanted to get into Agile and being a Scrum Master, because I really felt like that was where a lot of my skills and my strengths were lying, was in that kind of facilitation and really not having the spotlight on myself, but helping to empower my teams to, think differently and come up with new innovative solutions. So, made the move over to Safelite Auto Glass, And they were the ones that really gave me a shot into being a Scrum Master. No experience as a Scrum Master, just had certifications, and a little bit of that skill set, and really just a passion to do it. And that's what they were looking for more than anything. And I think that's what I hear more and more in the industry is we're looking for people with passion and the want to. You can always learn the how, but you've got to, the want to is the most important thing. So
I mean, Scrum Master is not the glorified position that people may think it is. It's not in the game of rugby either, to be honest. I think they get beat on more than anybody else.
Yeah, and that pretty much holds true in our world too. But I think a lot of people, the thing I always hear is, what does a Scrum Master do? And there was even a talk at Path to Agility last year about what does a Scrum Master do all day, and it would take me too long to list all of the things that I do on a daily basis.
Yes.
And different from day to day to day, depending on if it's in service to the team, in service to my PO, in service to my organization. It runs the gamut, and it changes day to day. And I think that's what I love the most about it, is that no 2 days are ever the same. Ever. Even though there's a cadence, they're never the same.
They're never the same.
Yeah.
I would have to agree. But you're not at Safely anymore.
I am not. No. I've moved on to, and I don't know if I can say the name, so I'll just say a large financial institution here in Columbus.
Have you not started yet?
I have.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, I started a month ago. They're going through an agile transformation as well. Much further along in it, which is good to see, but it's interesting to see they're scaling now. And that's really one of the things that I was looking for, is to learn how to scale.
Well, you need your safe.
Yeah, they're doing less there.
Oh.
So, yep. So you got your different factions.
You do.
You've got your less, you've got your safe, then
It's
you've
all
got
the same.
Scrum.org coming up with Nexus. And
You know what? It's all the same, just different wording.
It is.
It really is.
Yeah, it's just figuring out how to take that Scrum team mentality and multiply it out.
Right. By 50 to 125 teams.
Yes.
I think that's the range.
Yes. Well, at this organization, they've got 1,000 across the globe, Scrum teams.
Damn.
Yeah.
They're big.
Very. And yeah, it's very interesting. It's great to have a really strong group of Scrum Masters to, draw knowledge from and to bounce things off of.
But wouldn't you say that leadership has to be on board?
Absolutely.
If the leadership is not on board, you might as well be on a hamster wheel.
Absolutely. Yeah, you cannot do it ground up. It has to be top down.
Yeah.
And maybe meet in the middle somewhere, but there has to be buy-in from every level of the organization, and it starts with the top.
Yeah.
And I think that messaging has to be consistent. There can't be any wavering from it. Everybody's got to march to the same beat when it comes to a transformation, because otherwise, your transformation's never going to gain traction.
Right. And the trust.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. And yeah, it goes to creating that safe environment that is so necessary in Agile, and I think in any team environment, it's necessary to feel that psychological safety and to know that, okay, it's okay to experiment and to try things and to fail. It's okay to fail. And I think that is one of the biggest things that a lot of organizations still need to grasp is, it's okay to try. We're not going to go 18 months out and fail. We're going to go
that's called waterfall.
A month, two maybe. Let's go 2 or 3 sprints and see.
Then we'll see.
Yeah, exactly. Let's save the moolah there and figure out if it's going to work or not.
I have come so being scaled, I just got not just, in November of 2018, I got my certification for my SPC for SAFE.
For SAFE. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Here at Expeed, it's more of a startup kind of where, there's not very many of us. And I was talking to somebody that it's hard to find a organization like your situation, because most people are just at the point where they're like, I don't even know. They walk around and say they're agile, but and then you'll say, what makes you agile? And they'll go, because we have stand up every day.
Right.
And you learn that stand up's an hour long.
Right.
And it has nothing to do.
Have you read the Scrum Guide?
Exactly. It's not even close.
Right.
Not
right.
even close. And you're like, yeah, that doesn't make you agile.
Yeah. It's almost like, I think I kind of did some experimentation with my teams at Safelight, and we did it very, very slowly. And now I'm of the opinion that if you're going to make a change, just rip the Band-Aid off and let's go. So I am kind of that mindset when it comes to organizational transformation, that, hey, you know what? Let's just flip the switch and go. Yesterday we did it this way. Today we're going to do it this way.
Yeah.
And really a lot of that, I think, a lot of the pre-work there is training. And I don't think that there is enough real professional training done before some of these places decide that they want to go agile.
That's true.
It's really just, okay, I read a book or I went to a class and now I'm going to bring it back and take it to everybody. I don't think that works very well. I've seen that in practice. And yeah, you get some of the stuff, but not all of it. And if you're going to do Scrum, or if you're going to do Kanban or XP or whatever methodology you want to use, do it all the way, because there's a reason that it's successful if you do it the way that it's prescribed. And everybody likes to talk about, oh well, that's a rule, we can't break the rule. It's not a rule.
I like to call them guidelines.
Yes, I like to think of it like I don't know. When I was growing up, I grew up near St. Louis, Missouri, and we had Six Flags there. And when I was little, we would always go on the ride that had the old antique cars.
Oh, yeah.
That had the rail underneath. And so, as a kid, you feel like, oh, hey, I'm driving. It keeps you from going way off the road.
Yes, keeps you on the track.
But there, you can vary a little bit. You can go all the way over this way. You can go all the way over that way, but you're not going to go like out into the parking lot.
Correct.
So I look at Scrum and any framework like that. It's a framework. It's flexible. But if you hold true to the guidelines that are in there, then I think you're going to see a lot more success than if you decide, oh, you know what? I don't think we need to do retrospective this time. I think we're okay. Or, we don't really need to do sprint review because, our product owner sits with us. She sees what we do all the time. I think, and those are real life arguments that I've heard from teams, and I've kind of let them get away with it a little bit. But then we would skip a retro, and then come to find out when we got to the next retro, they couldn't remember the things that they wanted to talk about from 2 sprints ago. So I'm like, this is why we do retro every time. Because you have things that you want to work on, these continuous improvement items that you want to work on, but you can't remember what they were because we didn't do retro. So, it's they may seem constraining sometimes, but there's a purpose behind them. And I think it's always important just to remind teams and individuals of the why. Why are we doing it this way? Why do we need to do stand up every day? Why do we kind of need to let each other know what our attack plan is for the day? It's very important in a team environment and in an agile transformation, especially to get those basics down first and to be able to do those repetitively.
You're going to have your hands full.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Scrum, and you'll get, as a Scrum Master in particular, you're not responsible for anything. You're not accountable for any delivery. You're not, and that's where I think the misnomer lies sometimes with people who think, oh, well, being a Scrum Master is easy. All you do is schedule meetings all day. Oh, no. No.
No.
Because people want
Can I tell you, that's like
yeah.
I'm like horrible at that too. Like that's like one of my worst
What's
things.
that, scheduling meetings?
Yeah, because I always forget somebody.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You're like, oh, damn, I forgot that
Or I'll
person.
schedule a repetitive meeting, but the room that I want isn't always available.
Yeah.
So then I'll make myself a note that, oh, hey, remember this date, I need to schedule a room for this one, and I'll forget.
Yeah.
Yeah. If that's all I had to do all day long,
I'd be a champ.
Yeah.
I wouldn't screw it up. I'm pretty sure I probably screwed up this invite to the podcast. No?
No.
Cheers to
I'm
me.
here.
It's true. Cheers to me.
Cheers.
Cheers to me. I don't think I put in the suite number, though, did I?
You did not, but I knew that you worked at Expeed, so
See? Okay, there we go.
Yes, I just
Process
put two
of
and two together and
elimination.
said, oh, Expeed. All
Okay.
right. If not, I was just going to call you and say, hey, where do you want me? I'm down here in the snow.
Yeah.
Where do you want me?
See, that's what happens. So, yes.
But no, it's been a fantastic transition. I really, really wish that I had done it sooner. Really wish I had made the move sooner. And I was thinking on the way over here, kind of about my journey into technology. And I think if I was thinking about, I listened to your podcast today talking about GirlCon.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm really excited about that. That is super exciting.
June 12th is coming
Yes.
fast.
Yes. But, if I was giving advice to my 10 or 12-year-old self, it would be no matter what happens to you, always stay true to you. I think I got off track. I was a teen mom, very, very unexpectedly. And, before that, I was, type A personality. Oh, I'm going to be a business leader. I'm going to go be a lawyer, and I'm going to do this and that. And I got really off track with becoming a teen mom because then all of that self-doubt kind of creeped in and said, oh, well, you've kind of, made your bed. Now you got to lie in it. Now you're destined to just kind of hang around home and raise your kid and do all that. And, now looking back, I wish that I had been able to give myself advice and saying, hey, you know what? It doesn't matter. You can still, go to college, go get your degree, go get a certification, go get a job and be just fine. But, that was kind of where the beginning of my self-doubt kind of creeped in. And it took a long time to kind of get those thoughts out of my head.
Is Jim your mentor?
Oh, my gosh, yes. Yeah, so Jim and I...
So you need a gym.
You
You need a gym back then.
I will rent him out. That really sounded bad.
It sounded great, actually.
But
he's going to watch this and be like, oh, shit.
So Jim and I have been together for 20 years. And when we got together, literally, he was working in a mailroom. He was working in the mailroom at AEP, and I was a stay-at-home mom as a teenager. So we have had quite the journey together.
Clearly.
To now he is an Agile coach. He's a professional Scrum trainer. He owns his own company. I'm a shameless plug here. Loop Agility.
Just go for it.
Yes, Loop Agility. He's a professional Scrum trainer and consultant, Agile consultant extraordinaire. But yeah, I mean, he was a major part in me getting that self-doubt out of my head and finally starting to remember how much potential I had in myself and starting to believe that again. And so now that I've kind of unlocked that, sky's the limit.
Now he's like, oh shit, what did I
Yeah,
do?
exactly. Who is this empowered monster that I've created? No, he is 110% supportive of.
I remember when I met him, it was so funny that because he just started his business, right?
No, we actually just started the business in January.
Right, like it just started.
Oh, yeah.
He just made the leap.
Yeah.
So I remember, and I don't know if he'll ever remember this, but I was having a conversation with him. We did Agile Lunchbox together, and we used to shoot the shit on phone calls, and sometimes we'd have happy hour or whatever. And he was telling me that we're going to get some Scrum Master experience, and then we're going to Germany. And we're going to travel around Germany as Scrum Masters.
So funny funny story about that.
Is that going to happen?
That's happening in July.
No! Oh my God! That's so funny.
So the month of July, the plan.
Give me
yes.
Nice.
The plan.
I'm dead serious, Darren. Like, this was a conversation. She's like, we're going to wait. We're going to, get some more experience, and I'm going to make the leap, and da-da-da-da. And I was like, really? Like, really? And this was, like, probably a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, really? Wow. Do you even speak German? Like,
Not a lick.
right? Like, those were the first questions that came out of my mouth. Like, do you know how to drive on the other side of the road? Like, nothing to do with what mattered most.
Just more of the mechanics of being in Germany.
I was like, logistically, how are you going to survive? That was what I went.
Yeah.
And he said that to me, and I've always remembered that. And here we are.
So the plan right now is in the month of July, because he works for himself now. The current contract that he is on kind of ends around the end of June. And so the plan that he has right now is to go to Europe for the entire month of July. He already has some plans to kind of co-teach some of the Scrum
isn't a vacation.
Courses. No. Well, it'll be a vacation for me.
I was going to say. Here we go, girl.
I'm just along for the ride.
Priorities here. Priorities.
But yeah, he's going to co-teach some scrum.org classes with some of his PST counterparts over across the pond.
Oh.
So I can't remember what all countries that he's going to. I'm going to join him for a week or two. But I think his plan is to be over there for the whole month. So yeah, it's exciting times in the Salmon's household.
Wow. Yeah. Damn. Now
but yeah, he's the type that just kind of, he sets a goal, and he may not be verbal about how he's getting there, but he knows in his head how he's getting there. And then bam, he's off to the races.
Yeah, because we totally had the German conversation, and I had no remark about Agile, or do they do Scrum, or how do they function over there. I feel like they probably are a lot smarter than us people here in America. First things out of my mouth were like, really? Like, do you even speak German? And he was like, looking at me like, what? I was like, they drive on the other side of the road, right? Like,
they speak English. They speak fluent English over there. Yeah, they're taught I used to have a German pen pal when I was in junior high, and she would write me in English, and because they actually learn English from the time they're little, in conjunction with, like how we go through and have English classes for our own language. They go through and learn the English language while they're having their language classes for German. They know it better than us. Plus they're learning, French. That's
why they're so much smarter.
Italian, and oh my gosh, yeah. Well, I mean, the drive over there to get to another country is like us driving to another state here. So, they kind of have to.
That's true. Well, why? Gosh, that's exciting news.
Yeah, very.
Well, when you go home tonight and you're laying in bed, you can be like, Jimmy, you will never believe what Elizabeth brought up.
I'm going to have to remind him of that conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be a vacation for me. It was a vacation for me last year. He went over to London to take his PSM2 train the trainer.
Do you want a sister wife? Just curious. Just asking.
I don't know that we'd be into that. No.
Damn, I could use a vacation.
He'd probably. I mean, if it was some like 20-year-old, he'd probably be into it. But
wait, I'm out.
But yeah, last year when he went over to do his train the trainer for his PSM2, which is one of the steps to becoming a PST, went over to London, and so we made a vacation out of that. We, I think his class was on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We went to Dublin starting on Friday before, and so we had a few days in Dublin, and then we flew over to London, and then while he was in class, I got to be Miss Sightseer, so I got to see everything.
Wow,
which was really cool. So yeah, he's wanting to go back. That may be a part of his trip in July, because I got to see a lot of things he didn't because he was in class. Yep. But yeah, very exciting times, and it's amazing how this journey has kind of progressed, and the doors that are being opened now because we have just kind of put our foot on the pedal and said, yep, we're going this way. And doors are busted open. It's amazing.
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. It's awesome.
I'm going to take credit that it all came from Agile Lunchbox.
Yeah.
It didn't. But.
Well, now he's started kind of carrying on that kind of lunchbox torch into Agile Sashimi, which is a monthly networking and learning event here in Columbus. And yeah, really, really exciting stuff. The next one is Thursday. Yeah, the 7th. Yeah. So
That would be March 7th. That already happened. We're in April.
Oh.
Right? This won't get released until when? I always have to remind everybody.
Sorry.
What is April like? First? No, you're fine. Like most people don't even think about it because we're 10th,
15th.
15th.
Yes. Just say tax day, Darren.
Oh, damn, Darren, tax day. This is going to be released on tax day.
Hey, well, we'll provide a little bit of joy
Entertainment
in people's lives while they're sitting at the post office waiting.
So
to
do you
mail.
know the April date?
I don't. Not right off the top of my head.
Okay.
So, sorry.
The last two
Should've come prepared.
I wanted to go to. I can't. I've been pulled into teaching now. So I won't even be. Let's see, where am I on Thursday? That's this Thursday, the 7th of March, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Shoot, I don't even know.
Yeah.
God.
Too many things going on, but that's a good thing, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It's a great thing.
Yeah.
It is
absolutely.
a great thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm really, really excited to have, kind of become a part of getWITit this year. I went to the call for volunteers.
Good time.
Yes,
there
that was a
food
good
and
time.
booze. That's all
I
you
walked
need.
out of there, man. Angie just had me going like, yes, this is it. I'm all in on this, man.
She's gonna take over the world.
Woo,
She's got a lot of energy.
very much so.
Yeah, a lot of people
way
say
more than I do.
Yeah. So when you put Angie and I together, and then you have Dan Greenleaf, he's like the calm. Katie Tutor is the secretary. She's very calm too. But you put Angie and I together, and we have text message conversations, like group messages, and it's like one word text messaging, and it's before you know it, at the end of the day, there's 500 text messages,
Nice.
and like Dan won't even acknowledge.
Right.
He's like, I'm done with you.
His
guys.
phone is probably just going off constantly.
And Angie and I are like, what do you think? What are your thoughts? How about this? How about user error, and we say all the time we share a brain. Her and I can complete each other's thoughts. Like I'll be like, I got to put on my Angie hat. And
you both have a lot of energy. Yeah, but Angie's like a powder keg, man. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she's got way more than me.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, not that she has way more than you. I think you have a ton of energy. But
I don't know.
But yeah, she just comes in and she just has that thing that just makes you want to follow her.
She does.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, I wish I had that thing. I don't have that thing. It's like a charisma bone that I was not born with. It's like the sales gene. Like I tried to be a salesperson in the bank for a while. That did not go very well. I don't have that kind of sales thing.
We just had this conversation the other day, her and I, about marketing. I can't do the marketing. I just don't have it in me.
Yeah.
I'm not that person. Darren and I were talking about social media and Buffer. I use Buffer and I plan my social media out for a week because I don't have it in me to do it every day.
Yeah.
Like I just don't. I'm like, so I sit down for half an hour.
So you schedule
on a Sunday.
I'm going to schedule my social media time here.
Yeah. I just plan that shit out on Buffer, and
nice.
That's a pitch for Buffer, and and it just automatically does it for me for the week because I can't do it.
Cool.
I just don't have it in me.
Yeah.
I'm too busy scheduling meetings.
That's right.
That was a joke.
It's all those meetings we've got to schedule.
Oh my God. Just kidding. Scrum Masters around the world are cursing my name right now.
We do way more than just schedule meetings.
We do.
Yeah, it's almost impossible to qualify. I started. It's funny because I started making a list. I would go day by day and just write down what did I do to add value today. And I would get to the end of the day and there would be like 30 things on the list. And they're just little things sometimes, you know, whether it's, you know, bringing donuts for the team or inserting one little comment or one little probing question into a conversation that got people thinking differently. You know, it's things like that, you know, I kind of try to take myself back out of meetings and instead of getting too into the weeds on the details, because you and I share the fact that we're not coders. We don't have that background. So I like to try to understand what my teams are doing, but I try not to get too into the weeds.
Yes.
So I have the fortunate ability to be able to kind of stand back and kind of listen to a conversation and hear it kind of going off the rails a little bit or getting too far into the weeds and be like, hey, let's bring it back to what the purpose of this conversation was about.
So you probably will agree with me on this. Maybe not. Maybe.
No pressure.
No pressure. So my first experience in the techie world, I was thrown to an infrastructure team, and I love them, and I miss them a lot. But I had to do the old write terms down and Google it to find out technically what they were talking about, because you can't stop.
Right.
Like when their little brains are going and they're really like, and you can't go, I'm sorry, what?
Tell me what that is.
Yeah. What? Yeah. So I had to sit there and write down words and then go back and Google it. And then go back. And if I still didn't understand something and when things were quiet, then I could be like, hey, Al, what does this really mean?
Right. Give this to me in layman's terms.
Yeah.
So that's funny that you say that, because my very first day at Cardinal Health, like literally I had just gotten my badge, went to meet my boss. My boss met me and she said, you know, normally we would just have you on board, but we're in the middle of kind of a crisis situation. They were having they called it Crash the Gate. They were still at that time very
Sounds
waterfall.
Like a Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Right there.
Well, it kind of was. They were still at that time very much in a waterfall way of working. And they had what was called Gate 3. And that was, you know, all the designs are in and okay, we're marching forth. They were way behind schedule on a project, like as a whole team. And so they were having to crash the gate. For a week, they were off site at this conference center, and they had all hands on deck. Everybody who needed to be involved in this project was all in one room or on the phone. And my very first day was, hey, we need you to jump in and take notes. Take the meeting notes. And they're talking about all of these, you know, systems that I've never heard of, because some of them are just Cardinal systems. They were talking about all of these technologies that I'd never heard of. And I really just kind of had to just basically take everything down and then kind of go back when there was a little break and see if I could Google and if I got the name of what it was they were talking about right, because I didn't know. I was going phonetically.
Right. Oh my God.
But yeah, that was my very first day. And, you know, I wouldn't have had that any other way, because that really just kind of immersed me and I kind of had to be on it from the beginning. But yeah, it really, it's funny you say that, because there are things that I hear now. Luckily, I'm 2 years into being a Scrum Master into software. And so there's a lot of terms that I'm familiar with now that I wasn't before, but there's still plenty on a daily basis that I hear that I'm like, okay, I'm going to jot that down, look that up later. And then I've given up being embarrassed. I think that is the main thing is you've got to get that embarrassment out and just be able to say, you know what? I don't know what this is, and I need to know what this is, so I can help you guys. So please tell me what this is.
We call it here at Expeed, I need you to talk Elizabeth language. And we had it today.
It has a name.
It has a name. We had it today on one of our projects. I'm across multiple projects. And I said, I just need you to talk Elizabeth language. Mm-hmm. And they were like, oh, okay. Because they knew what that meant.
Might help them not get so into the weeds, too. Because otherwise you get You get two developers together, they're going to go way down into not even the English language anymore.
No. I was like, you need to talk Elizabeth language. Yeah. That's normally kindergarten talk.
Explain this to me like I'm 5.
Exactly. Let's get the crayons out.
I'll pull it. The Office is my favorite TV show of all time, and that's a Michael Scottism. Explain this to me like I'm 5.
Yeah. I have no problem.
Shameless Office plug there.
But see, that's true. Mm-hmm. I had to just be like, you know what? You're the expert. I'm not. I'm looking to you for you to tell me.
Yep.
And I have to be honest with you. I was very intimidated with the infrastructure team. Mm-hmm. But I learned, and they learned, that I wasn't there to tell them how to do their job. I was there to help them. And once that kind of was understood from a Scrum Master to developer, like, I'm not there to tell you how to do your job.
Right.
I can't do your job.
Right.
By no means.
We pay you good money to do your job.
So, but I need you to help me understand what your job is.
Right.
And then they feel
more
like
open and willing to kind of accept you into their world. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think especially if you get into like a development team that's been together for a long time, sometimes it's really hard to crack in there as a new Scrum Master. I had that experience at Safelight. There was a team that I was a Scrum Master for that had been together for almost 3 years. Pretty much every member of that team had been together for 3 years. And to come in as a new Scrum Master and to try to crack into that, they have their own language, right, and, they've normalized as a team, and, you got to kind of try to weave in there. But you're exactly right. I mean, once you kind of set that parameter that, hey, I don't know what you know, help me help you, almost right, like the Jerry Maguire thing. Yes. Yes. My job is to be in service to the team and our product owner and the organization to help us move forward. So if I ask questions, it's so that I can help us move forward as a team. It's so I can help clear some impediment for you, or, if we've got a dependency on another team, it's so I can kind of be able to speak that language when I go talk to that other team and say, hey, this is what we need, so that you don't have to, so you can focus on what you do best.
Right.
So, I think once they kind of got that, it was, welcome into the fold. But it's tough to kind of break in there a little bit at the beginning, especially if you've got a team that's been together for a long time.
It is.
Yeah. I have the good and bad experience of breaking into a team that's been together for a long time, but also starting up a team that hasn't been together at all. And it's
that can be tough.
You know what? Give me the team that's been together for a long time. Because starting up the team,
it's tough.
It is. That whole forming and storming phase is really tough. It's really tough. And especially if, going back to what I said earlier about not having training, especially if people haven't had training in what you're trying to get them to do,
right,
you kind of have to take that time to kind of give them a little bit of a primer course, if you will.
Do you have people overseas?
Not
okay.
Currently. No. I did have, I was working with a team that didn't have people overseas, but had people dispersed throughout the United States.
Okay.
So we had people in Iowa, we had people in Arizona, a couple in New Mexico. And so we kind of had some of those time zone issue things that we had to deal with. Not necessarily the language barrier, which can be pretty tough to overcome sometimes.
It can.
Yeah. My particular teams that I work with now are all co-located here, but we do, talking about the scaling, we do have, as part of our area product group, a couple of teams that are over in India. And so we have to we're trying to squeeze in, area events early in the morning. Because there's different laws and constraints over in India about contractors. There's like a curfew, and there's a hard stop time, and you always have to be cognizant of stuff like that.
Really?
Yeah.
I have a team
I just learned that.
Wow, I'm gonna have to ask them.
I just learned that, and I don't think that's just the organization that I'm with now. I think that's It's something to do with whether you're a contractor or a full-time employee. You have a hard stop time.
I'll have to find out.
Yeah,
I have an 8:30 call tomorrow with India.
That's when we usually have ours.
Yeah.
Is 8 or 8:30.
8:30.
Yeah.
They don't go in till later though.
Right.
They work
I think
later.
they work like 11:30 to 8:30.
Yeah,
or
they
something
work
like that. Their time. So
yeah.
So that's interesting. But yeah, it's that can be a difficult thing if you have teams that aren't co-located. Especially when it comes to some of the events like retrospective, especially.
So I've had both.
Yeah.
Teams across the country, Canada, the GUK, and then India. And you're right, they don't participate as well.
Right.
With the events, the Scrum events at all. Because, like, I wanted to have, this is awful, but I wanted to have, we had, it's kind of a rough time, and I wanted to have a dodgeball game. And I just was like, don't you just want to take a ball and just throw it at the person that's pissed you off the most these last 2 weeks?
Get that frustration out.
I mean, I grew up with dodgeball and Red Rover and King of the Mountain and
Red Rover, especially. You'd clothesline people coming through. Oh,
and now you can't do any of that shit in
kids
schools.
have to have helmets on.
Yeah,
to
exactly.
Do that. Yeah.
And no more King of the Mountain.
Elbow pads.
So I was like, I want to have a dodgeball game. And I just, and they're like, well, you're not supposed to participate. And I'm like, oh, I'm participating.
I'm taking the Scrum Master hat
I
off,
am.
team member hat on.
Exactly. And it was hard because we had teams all over it. We couldn't do it.
Right.
But I wanted, that's what it was a rough. And I was like, wouldn't it be just great to just take a dodgeball and just throw it at
So how do you
somebody?
do that virtual dodgeball? How do you get that frustration out? if you have, especially if you have a team that's kind of, it's hard to gel as a team when you're not there together.
It is. It's so hard.
So, what we've found is, just kind of using technology to our advantage, using FaceTime or using, we're lucky that we have like desk phones that have video so we can do CME conferences all the time. Oh,
that's nice.
It's really cool. But yeah, how do you kind of get that frustration out when they can't be in the same room together?
And what's really funny is with my teams that I had, there was 30 plus on the team.
Oh my.
And they were spread. So I had 12 here in Columbus, and then they were spread across. And we would have a retro and nobody would say anything because they didn't want to hurt anybody else's feelings. But then the retro would end and I would spend an hour of my day because then I'd be getting pinged or team. Can I talk to you?
I'm having this problem with so-and-so.
Exactly. Yeah. And I was like, we just had an hour. You could have said something. And they're like, yeah, but I don't want to hurt their feelings.
It's hard to create that safe space when you're not all together. I mean, it's hard enough to create it when you're all together.
Exactly. But then do it across.
Right. Because you can't, and especially if you don't have video.
Right.
You don't have the benefit of those nonverbals.
Yes.
You can't see the person crossing their arms or rolling their eyes or, huffing. They may mute the phone and, mutter under their breath or whatever. You don't have the benefit of being able to see that. Yeah. So, I mean, one of the things that we had that issue, even with the team that wasn't co-located here, there would be frustrations, and I knew there were frustrations, and I would literally just call it out. I'd say, you know what? I know that there are some issues going on. Let's talk about it because, and I use the analogy of it's almost like a wound. If you get a cut on your arm, you can either treat it right away, disinfect it, put a bandage on it. It'll hurt for a little bit, but you'll be healed up in a week or two. Or you can let it go and let it get infected, let it fester, let gangrene set in, and then you got to cut the arm off.
You just went right to amputation.
I did, yes. But yeah, I mean, I literally put it in those terms for my team. It's like, hey, we either deal with this or it's going to continue to be an issue. So let's just get it out.
You have to.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's, the biggest thing that I learned from having teams that were not co-located was really just it made me have to put on my supersonic Scrum Master ears and really be listening for kind of the in between the lines and kind of be paying attention to conversations that I would hear, outside of meetings. Be like, you know what? I know there's issues here. I'm just going to call it out. I'm not going to wait for them to figure out that there's issues or to have the courage to say that there's issues. I just need to broach it and show them,
Rip
hey,
that Band-Aid off.
Absolutely. And say, hey, you know what? Let's get it out now. And let's hash it out. However ugly it is, let's get it out now, because it's going to be a lot uglier later if we let it go.
That's true. But you bring donuts to those conversations.
I do, yes.
And pizza. That works every time.
Donuts especially. Like,
it puts everybody in
like
like
the team with sugar. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Makes the environment a lot better. I used to go to Buckeye Donuts.
Yes.
And
yeah. Amy's. I go to Amy's on the west side. But yeah. Plus, that kind of gets around some of the... Because I'm sure you've worked on teams where there's special dietary restrictions sometimes. So you've got your vegetarians, your vegans.
I ignore it.
I had a guy one time who was not keto or anything like that, but he literally was only eating meat. Only, like, nothing else, just meat for every meal. And I'm like, okay, well,
Did he get the meat sweats? That's
if
gross.
he did. I don't know. He never brought it up, But yeah, I mean, that one's hard to get around with donuts, but the other ones, you can kind of get around some of those.
Bacon on a donut.
That's true, but yeah, then he wouldn't eat the donut.
Well, I don't care.
He'd just eat the bacon.
I'd just say,
top,
I got you meat with bacon on it.
Buckeye Donuts has that maple glazed
exactly
bacon long john.
I included you. I got you bacon on your donut.
It's true, yeah.
I got an answer for everything.
If you just peel that bacon off, I don't care.
Exactly. Gluten-free. Lick the frosting. I don't care. Dig your finger in and get the jelly out. I have taken care of it.
It's fruit. There you go.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, done.
Always. No. I think that's my number one thing as a Scrum Master is bring food. Especially if you're going to have a hard conversation.
Yeah, you bring food.
Or if like my team called it out, like I've only been their Scrum Master for 2 sprints, and they called it out in the last retro, we need more food. Like, okay. So the next Friday I brought in donuts. They're like, awesome. Can we make this an every Friday thing? I'm like, only if you're pitching in for it, because that gets pretty expensive on a weekly basis.
No kidding. No kidding.
But yes, food. Always have a snack table.
Snacks are crucial.
Yes. Yes.
And booze. Snack and booze.
We can't have booze, but...
We got a whole kitchen.
I know. I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here at Expade, we do not follow the rules. And what's so funny is I'm going to give a shout out to Rao's wife here, Sita. She listens to all my podcasts. And she said to me today, oh, you're doing podcast taping? I said, I am. And she goes, there's beer in the refrigerator. I said, yeah, no, girl, thanks. So she totally knows me.
Well, I wondered because I listened to the podcast of you and Terry Bettinger. Is that it? Yeah. From earlier in the year.
She was drinking gin and
yes, and I heard you say something about gin and orange juice or something like that.
She had blood orange. We had a blood orange mix in the refrigerator, and she took that and gin. Ooh. Yeah, she made a concoction in the kitchen.
Nice. Yeah, and I'm like, ooh, this is going to be fun.
Yeah. I think she had 2. Didn't she have 2? I don't know. I can't remember. But she was, yeah. We have gin, and we have what we like to call on Fridays, Bourbon Fridays. So at like 3:00, the team kind of just gets either beer or we have some underage people, some developers, so they get their soda. But Rao, the CEO here, loves his bourbon.
Nice.
So we kind of just sit around as a team, everybody, and drink and bullshit just about like it's Friday.
That's a great way to wind down the week.
Yeah. And we're small still here. So but this past Friday they had bourbon and learning, and they were like, are you coming? I was like, hell no.
Bourbon and learning?
Who goes to bourbon and learning?
What were you learning about?
I don't know. They were learning about the chief marketing officer here. Love her, Beth. She printed off some article, and it was like a 23-page article. And
the only way we're going to get through this is with bourbon.
And they were going through it together, I guess. They were putting in their thoughts or whatever. And they asked me, like, John was like, are you coming? I was like, no, I'm not coming. Now, if we were just having bourbon and bullshitting,
right,
sure. But learning?
Bourbon and bullshit. That should be the calendar invite. Bourbon and bullshit.
Exactly. Yeah. But learning, especially at 4 o'clock on a Friday, that's not happening
Brain
with this.
off.
Exactly. Does not happen.
So I actually... when I worked at Cardinal Health, we had a wide open floor. We all had cubes, but they were low cubes, so we could see across to all the teams. And there was a team that sat in the row next to us that would have something very similar. They would have a different drink every Friday afternoon, non-alcoholic. But they would bring in like a non-alcoholic drink recipe, and everybody would try it. And that was their way to wind down from the week. And I've always kind of wanted to kind of foster something like that, but being the Scrum Master, I want it to come organically. Like, I don't want to command and control and say, right, hey, Friday afternoons we're going to do this. But yeah, I think the only way to really get full participation might be with the alcohol.
Yeah, I'm all for it. That's how we do it here.
Nice. That's how we roll.
That's how we roll. God love. Darren's given me that. Did you see?
Was that the wrap it up sign?
Well, I'd like to keep it right around 45 minutes.
Okay.
I'm at 50.
What a great conversation.
I know, right? So
this just went by like that.
I know, because we have a good time and we keep things light and fluffy.
Yes.
And I'm not very structured.
It's like that fluffy icing on the donut.
And then Darren tells me when I'm getting to my 45 minutes, because that's about what people want to listen to.
Yeah, yeah.
So now I got to do my plugs. So we have GirlCon, June 12th. I'm sure you're going to be there.
Yes, definitely.
June 12th. It's all day. It's at the Fawcett Center on OSU's campus.
Yeah.
We've got a whole day planned. It's going to be a great time. Since we are in April, May 2nd is WWWD, Women, Wine, and Web Design.
Ooh.
I know. I
don't have that creative bone to come up with names like that.
Me neither. I didn't come up with that. And that's at Rev 1 on May 2nd in the evening. It's so much fun. If you just come out, you don't even have to do web design. Darren's over there.
I'll just come for the wine.
Yeah. It's such a great networking. There's last year, I think we had 150 women. Mm-hmm. It was great. And then, that's May 2nd. June 12th is GirlCon. September 30th is the 4th annual getWITit conference.
Can't wait.
I cannot believe it's already the 4th one.
Do we have a theme yet?
We do. Oh, shoot. New blueprint for leadership. New leadership for blueprint. Blueprint for new leadership. There it is.
Just jumble the words around, put them in some.
I got it.
Yeah.
It's something. That's what it is.
Blueprint. I'll take that away.
Blueprint for new leadership.
Awesome.
And exciting news, as our Cleveland just secured October 28th for their 2nd annual conference. Yay! And it's going to be this is going to be phenomenal, the Great Lakes Science Center on the water. In Cleveland. Yes. They really
that'll be beautiful.
Oh my God, they worked so hard up there to get that. So we're super excited about that. So they're going to have their 2nd annual, and then
that is so awesome. Just to kind of see the organization just kind of grow.
It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah,
Pittsburgh and Cincinnati, watch out.
Ooh.
That's next.
Exciting stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm thinking more Costa Rica so I can go in the sun, but it's fine. I'm okay with.
Hey, they need agilists down there too. They need technologists. They need all of us down there too.
They do.
You know,
so
there's companies down there that need our skills.
I know. I'm thinking getWITit might open their organization down there. Yup, Darren. Okay. Darren's
Awesome.
up for it. So.
Awesome. Yeah.
So, all right. Well, thanks for coming on,
Elizabeth. Thanks so much for having me.
This was fantastic.
Absolutely.
And you should come back again. We should just bullshit some more.
Anytime. I will come back anytime you welcome me.
You're always welcome. Doors open. All right. Thanks, Darren.